The last skill that you're going to need to have to do the factoring and solving and multiplying quiz is to be able to answer a word problem by setting it up and then turning around and doing some sort of factoring and solving like we worked on at the end of the chapter. So I have two of them here, very similar to what you'll see on a test where you have to set up your own picture, your own image, your own equation, and then use factoring. So the first one is a volume problem, and this one does not provide a picture. You will see some pictures provided on tests and some you'll have to come up with on your own. You are working with clay, and you have 250 cubic inches of clay. That is the volume of clay that you have, and you are making a rectangular prism. So it does help if you draw a little sketch if there's not one provided. If there's one provided, then by all means use that one and just label it. And you don't have to be an artist for sure. What we know about the volume of a rectangular prism is it's the length times width times height. You multiply all your dimensions. So we have to look at this and figure out how we're going to represent the dimensions, all using one variable. So they say that they want the height and the width to be 5 inches less than the length. So I'm going to call the length x, and you could label any of your sides x. That means I want the height and the width to be 5 less than that. So that means one of your dimensions is going to be x minus 5, and another one of your dimensions is going to be x minus 5. So that's how I'm going to label my picture. It doesn't need to be perfectly correct as far as the scale, but you should have those 3 dimensions labeled. What I know is if I multiply them all together, so if I take x times x minus 5 times x minus 5, and that can be done in any order, I'm going to get a volume of 250. That was given to us. This is a great problem because it reviews how you multiply, and then it also reviews how you factor. So it does both parts of the chapter we've been working with. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to FOIL these together. So when I FOIL these together, I get x squared. My inner term is going to be negative 5x. My outer term is going to be negative 5x. So when I combine them, I get negative 10x. And then negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. Then I'm going to distribute. So I get x cubed minus 10x squared plus 25x equals 250. And now it turns into a problem from the earlier material, which is if I can get everything in one side in standard form, I can figure out the way that I can factor it, and then I can solve it. So I'm going to subtract the 250 to the other side, so I'll come up here so I have a little more space. So I have x cubed minus 10x squared plus 25x minus 250. I first try to take out a greatest common factor, and when you look at the 4 terms, they have nothing in common. They don't all have an x. They aren't all divisible by 5. They are 4 terms, so the only way I can factor it is I can do grouping. So I'm going to take out an x squared from the first 2 terms, leaving me with x minus 10. And I'm going to take out a 25 from the second 2 terms, leaving me with x minus 10. So I'm going to write that repeating factor that shows up twice, x minus 10, and then I'm going to write the stuff that I took out. Now I'm looking for solutions. Now, there is something special about your solutions here. I'm looking for positive answers because x represents a measurement, a dimension. It can't be negative. So I'm going to look right here at x minus 10. If I let x minus 10 equal 0, I get an answer of 10. That is a perfectly acceptable answer. It is positive. If you try to go here, and this is a little bit beyond where we are right now in this class, if you try to set that equal to 0, you're going to get something that is not possible with what you know. You're going to end up trying to take the square root of something negative. That's not going to work. So my only answer is 10. Now, if you read the question, it says, what should the dimensions be? So my answer actually needs to be more than just this one number. If this is 10, and these 2 are 5 less, then that means this is 5 and this is 5. So my dimensions of my clay, it should be 5 by 5 by 10. And again, it has to be positive because it's representing a measurement of a dimension. Second one, also something very similar to what you're going to see on your test, is a triangle problem. It's an area problem. Again, draw a picture of a triangle. Doesn't need to be perfect, but something where you can label it and get some help when it comes to writing these equations. So it says that the height of the sail is 8 more than 2 times the base. So I'm just going to call the base x, and then my height, 8 more than 2 times, would be 2x plus 8. 8 more, meaning I'm adding 8 on, and then 2 times. You could also write 8 plus 2x, means the same thing. It tells us that it has an area of 60 square feet. So I need to write the area of a triangle formula, which you should all know is 1/2 base times height. They're telling me that the area is 60. I have the base as x, and I have the height as 2x plus 8. I'm actually going to put the 2x plus 8 first, and I'll show you why here in a second. It does not matter. It's being multiplied. It doesn't matter the order. The reason that I'm putting the 2x plus 8 first is because when I distribute the 1/2, it's going to get rid of that fraction. I'm going to be taking half of 2x, which is just x, and half of 8, which is 4. I still have this x that I have to multiply through, but it is easier to multiply the half and the 2x plus 8 first, and then distribute that x through. We get x squared plus 4x. I need to get it in standard form, so I'm going to move the 60 over. So I'm going to have 0 equals x squared plus 4x minus 60. Now I'm looking to factor it, so I check for a greatest common factor. There are none. There's nothing I can take out. I count how many terms. There's 3 terms, so I'm going to put my parentheses and FOIL factor it. I get an x and an x. 1 is positive, 1 is negative. To get 60, a lot of options. 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 4 times 15, 3 times 10. Not 3 times 10, 6 times 10. I think that covers all of them. Going through the possibilities, the one that works is 6 times 10. So I want the 10 to be the positive and the 6 to be the negative. And you can do a quick double check to make sure that the middle term works out correctly. I get 2 answers, so either x plus 10 equals 0 or x minus 6 equals 0. Remember, I'm looking for a positive answer because it does represent the measurement of this sale. So if I subtract 10 from both sides, I get x equals negative 10. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense that one of the dimensions of this sale is negative. Then if I add 6 over here, I get an answer of x equals 6. That's the answer I'm looking for. It's a positive answer. It does want the base and the height, so that means that the base is 6. And the height is 2 times 6 plus 8, which is 12 plus 8, which is 20. So my sail has a base of 6 feet and a height of 20 feet.